What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're officially back in the garage. Now, I am still healing. I'm feeling a ton better. Chiropractor told me I can walk without the crutches, just slow pace. Don't walk too fast. Don't do no weird angles where my ankles will get more forked up. So I am back in the garage, and today we're gonna be putting the turbo kit into the Flip RX. Now, before we get into all of that fun stuff, guys, we went to the P.O. box this morning. We got 2 packages right there and a package that showed up 2 days ago. I did lose my razor blade, but I do have a backup right here that's always sits in my room, but now it's gonna sit in my pocket every time I leave my room. The other one had my Instagram name engraved on here because it was my razor blade from Tesla, and if I lost it there, somebody could, you know, find it and return it back to me. But fortunately, I had it with me the entire time, but I lost it during transit. So this right here is some new gloves for TIG welding. It is a Black Stallion T50. This is a TIGster, it says it right there. And I've actually never had a set of TIG welding gloves. I've always used my MIG glove, which is super thick down here, to TIG weld, and like most of the time I can't even feel what it is that I'm doing. These are XLs. They fit my hand perfectly, and it's thin enough that I can feel what it is that I'm doing, but also protect me from the arc of the torch. This one right here, I know exactly what this is, only because this showed up to the P.O. box like that, and obviously I can peek inside. It is, let's just open it up. This came from Anthony out in Modesto. Big shout out, thank you for this. I actually mentioned it the other day, well, not in the other day, but I mentioned it in a different video about needing this part when I convert the car to OBD1. We are still OBD0 in that car, and before I converted to OBD1, I actually needed this piece. So big shout out again to Anthony, because before I jump ahead here, let's verify this. We have indeed a VTEC distributor. You can tell because of the flange is straight on one side and then angled on the other, while like an LS non-VTEC or B20, it's triangulated equally, if that makes any sense. So this is OBD2, not a big deal. We got some OBD2, OBD1 jumpers we can use. We finally have a distributor to convert the car to OBD1, OBD2 style. I already have the OBD1 ECU jumper inside the car. This one right here is from Junkyard Performance. I believe we got a couple packages from him over there, and feels like a shirt. Indeed. It's another t-shirt. You guys know I say this a lot on the channel. Gucci taters. Yo, big shout out, man. I believe it's Shane. Thank you, Junkyard Performance, for this t-shirt. Gucci taters. It's got taters in there. Oh, this is so freaking awesome. Be sure to give Junkyard Performance a follow on Instagram. I'll link it in the description below. I truly appreciate your support. So yeah, now let's get to the fun stuff. I believe the last video I kicked out about this car was sharing you guys the turbo kit, and then I went off camera to fabricate all the things that I needed: the downpipe, the dump tube, the rest of the charge pipe. And I've been putting this off for a while now because of all the unfortunate events that has been happening in between the last video of this car. But we're back, and today we're going to try to get everything installed into the car and get it to turn on, officially being boosted. Also, in part of that, it was bothering me that there's stuff freaking everywhere. There's new stuff here. I don't understand why. I got to get all this stuff right here shipped out. I have to get a few of these things right here to the storage, and a lot of this stuff put in my room, put that back to use. You know, just kind of clear up the space a little bit more, clear all this up, and use my little kindergarten chair again because it's just been a shelf right there. Got to move all this. This is a bunch of little things that I got to move out of the garage to make me feel a little bit better. So as far as the installation go, guys, I'm going to talk less. I'm just going to get right to work. And the order that you guys are going to see me install the turbo kit is typically how I would do it, from first to last. And we're going to start from scratch. Everything is unbolted from each other. Let's get this thing installed. Before I bolt anything up, throw my feed line on here real quick. Now we got our dash 10 return line with the flange, gasket. Now let's get the turbo installed with the manifold. These are the hardware that is provided with the manifold, so I'm just gonna use it. I would prefer different hardware, but I never run the gasket, but if you do run the metal one, I normally straighten out my flange here and my flange here and just made it up without a gasket. But because we don't know the trueness of this gasket, I'm gonna put a red Loctite in here because I don't want this to come out. Oh well. Now this turbo was originally a 4-bolt 3-inch downpipe, but I chopped it off because of clearance reason and I converted it over to a V-band. This is the Max Speeding Rod GT3076R turbo, and it only comes with a 4-bolt downpipe. So I wanted the ease of removal from the downpipe and stuff, so I converted to V-band and also to shorten it in a little bit to clear the radiator. Next up, wastegate. We are using an eBay wastegate. I did open this up, I did inspect it, I made sure everything was all good and dandy with it. I Loctited a few of the set screws and this thing should be ready to go. I don't remember what spring I put in here, but it's pretty soft, and if we have to, we'll switch it on a dyno. I don't know if I'm going to run a boost controller, but I'm not trying to go any more than 15 pounds. There are a ton of ports on this MVR style. There are some H2O ports right there. 1, 2, you can leave it open. That's just water, it's not air. And then there's a bunch of air ports, which is 1 on top, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to use 1 for the bottom for line in. Again, I'm not sure we're running a boost controller yet. We're going to leave the ones on the top to atmosphere open, but we have to block the 2 on the sides that we're not using. The kit does provide the fittings for that. So I want to block this one here, and then we're going to block this one right here, only because if we run a controller, I want the banjo fittings to be on the same side, which is these 2 right here, top and bottom. Banjo fittings are also provided, 2 of them with the crush washers. Take the screw out, put 1 crush washer, put it back into the banjo, 2nd crush washer, and then on the wastegate. Now wastegate is ready to go on. Do not forget your firing ring. This goes in between the wastegate and the turbo manifold. I am going to leave this a little bit loose because we still got to do the dump tube to clock everything accordingly. Alright, let's get this in the car. Man, it's been a while since I popped the hood on this thing. Everything is all dusted again. That's the only thing about dark colored colors. You can definitely see all the dust on it. Make sure you have a gasket in here. I have the OEM one. Alright, so we got the turbo manifold and the turbo installed. Now let's do the downpipe and the dump tube. One thing I did forget on this downpipe is a bung for the O2 sensor. I need to retire my drill already. You know what I just realized? I don't have any more TIG wire, for steel at least. Actually, my Amazon order for the Vibrant 045 wire should be here today. But where is it? You know, it's about being resourceful. So I have a lot of this, like, end of welding wire, welding sticks, welding filler, and I collected literally all of the stainless ones that I had, and I just connected all of the dots. Hopefully this is enough to weld the O2 bung. Let's get to it. Test fit. You guessed it, Gucci taters. Probably gonna aim it downward just so it's easier to access. Oh crap, I did not account for the freaking dump tube. I'm a dummy. Alright, so I was able to get the dump tube fitted in a way that I could still put a wideband on the bung down there. Dump tube is not touching the downpipe. We are cleared there and everything is secured here. So now we got to feed the turbo some oil. I have a -3 line. This already been installed in the back of the block with the oil sandwich adapter, and it's just blocked off right here just so I don't have to struggle to put my arm behind the intake manifold. Definitely has oil in it. Get this snugged. Yes sir. Got these P clamps from Home Depot the other day, and I got 2 of them to secure the feed line behind the cam gear and timing belt. Now, I've always had it here, never had an issue. I've had it on here without the P clamps, and as long as it's tucked up really nicely, shouldn't have an issue. So these P clamps go on the line. It's hard to get this big ass camera down here, but it goes on the line, and then there are 2 holes for 10 mils, one right there. These are for the existing timing belt cover. There's a second one right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and just get that secured so the line is out of the way. So we have our feed line installed, secured. This is gonna feed oil into the cartridge, and then from the cartridge on the bottom, we have to return the oil back to the pan. This is the return line, and pretty much bolts up like this, 45 off the turbo, and then it's gonna be a straight shot to the oil pan down there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this installed because it is kind of hard with one hand. It may seem that I have to clock the cartridge just a smidge. Nice and tight, look at that. Straight to the oil pan. No roller coaster, no crazy bend, no crazy kinks. This oil system is gonna flow efficiently. That's Mitten's baby mama. Hey, ugly. Alright guys, so we got the turbo manifold, made it with the turbo, alarm clock. Alright guys, so we got the turbo manifold, made it with the GT3076R. We got the eBay wastegate, downpipe, dump tube, feed line in, and return line out. The next part to this installation is the intercooler system. So I'm going to start off with the intercooler. Intercooler is on. Now we're going to start with the hot side charge piping. Hot side because it's on the hot side of the engine before going through the intercooler, which then cools down the air going up to the intake manifold. Hot side charge pipe, cold side charge pipe. So we're going to need this, this coupler, this coupler, and a gang of clamps. Not you. So all of my pipings here, I'm not sure if it's going to stay silver, but I intended to have all the charge pipe black. The valve cover might be black as well too, and the radiator was supposed to be black. There's no coolant in it, so I can still take it off and paint it. But if I do decide I'm going to paint all the charge pipe black and murder this bay out, I can always take it back off and paint it, no big deal. But for today, we're going to get everything installed. So right here, this goes to the turbo. Typically I go back door, but because I don't want to cut this more than it already is, I decided I'm going to go around to the windshield washer, over the frame rail, around the bumper, into the intercooler. This right here is a 2" to 2.5, because the outlet of this compressor housing is 2". Get this charge pipe. This is kind of close to the manifold. I am going to be wrapping this. Originally I was supposed to wrap that, but I forgot to do so. I mean, we'll figure it out when we get to it. We need a coupler down low. We got this pipe to go in right there, and then this one connects up here. Got that nice bulge going on there. So now that we have the hot side, driver's side piping done, we're going to step into the cold side, passenger side piping, and this one is pretty straightforward. We have charge pipe to the intake. We have the coupler for the back door. We are keeping it back door on the passenger side. Got all the T-bolts here. 2, 4. Got our blow-off valve over here. We are running the 50mm blow-off valve. This is the replica of the Tile Q, and this thing sounds freaking awesome. I mean, for the price, I ain't even mad. But no disrespect to Tile, because I love my Tile in that car. Also, can't forget the fitting and the O-ring. I think the trickiest part to installing this blow-off valve is the O-ring. This O-ring is a little smaller, so it's always wanting to come off the lip before putting the blow-off valve to sit on here. So I think the trick is to twist the rubber and then put it on the lip of the flange, so it doesn't want to roll the opposite way, right? You can see how it's sitting on there. It's not moving. I'm trying to hold this still. I'm going to clock my blow-off valve accordingly. Well, this is the same all around. It's the clamp that I want pointing in a specific direction. Yes, sir. So the clamp, I'm going to be putting it underneath so it looks more cleaner on top. That's pretty much bottomed out. It's kind of weird. And then we have the banjo for the vacuum line, so it can make its sneezing noise again, like the wastegate. Fitting the crush washer, the banjo, another crush washer, and then it goes right on top of the blow valve. So this side, very simple. 90-degree coupler right off the intercooler. Going back door, get our charge pipe right here. Alright guys, so I finally got the freaking cold side charge piping fully installed. Reason why I say finally is because I bought the wrong set of clamps and some cheap stuff, and they kept breaking. So I had a MacGyver, like making 2 clamps to one. I had one that was the right size for 2.5 inch, but it was completely stripped. So I stripped off another T-bolt. I took the bolt and the stud and then transferred over to a 2.5. Got that secured over here, and yeah, this thing is pretty much done, other than vacuum lines, which I am taking care of right now. Over here we have this vacuum line. This one right here goes all the way to the blow-off valve, and I'm actually teeing it off to the fitting that's in the back. This one right here going into the car is for the map sensor for the OBD0, EF, and DA. It typically sits right here, so the plug is actually integrated to the chassis harness, and I'm actually running the map sensor behind the firewall and not the OBD1, OBD2 style. So this is map sensor teed off to the blow-off valve, and then this is going to go to the back of the intake manifold right here somewhere, just like that. And that's pretty much our vacuum source for the blow-off valve. Now we just need a source for the wastegate, because this turbo doesn't have the fitting off the compressor, and I forgot to tap it. So I do have a source. I can tee it off of the fuel pressure regulator, or I can just rob it off of this, because the barb size is the same as this one, but it's just a really long freaking vacuum line that I do not have right now. Always remember to zip tie everything. I'm going to do that right now. And guys, I'm probably going to turn this car on with the turbo kit officially on here, and I'm curious to see how it sounds. I mean, I already know how it sounds, but I just want to make sure everything works and no oil leaks. So I'm going to button that up real quick, get the battery in the car and the ECU, and we'll fire it. Gotta make sure my tray in the right spot here. Guys, we about to see if we can turn this thing on. It is on E85 still. Haven't dropped the tank, haven't checked the fuel pump, haven't swapped the gas. Got to get some oil priming through the turbo, so I'm not going to flip the switch on because it is wired directly. Battery. Okay, Gucci taters. I'm gonna have to snug up that feed line fitting a little bit more. It's leaking a little bit.